Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on 1 month of bookkeeping. And before we get started, make sure that you are in the accountant view because that's the view that we are going to be using here that looks like this. So if yours does not look like this, especially this left sidebar, you can go over here to the gear icon and go to switch. So let me show you what yours would look like first. So if yours looks like this and you want to look more like what I have to be able to follow along better, let's go up to the gear icon and go to switch to accountant view. Okay, then we're going to be in a view that this is how I like to look at things and will also help as you follow along with these videos. So you're going to go into the banking section. And if you're getting started for the first time, what you're going to want to do is connect your bank accounts. So you'll actually go in here and connect any bank accounts or credit cards that you have, and you will link directly to your bank. So let's say you want to go ahead and connect a bank account. You can search for banks here. So if you have a very specific bank, you can look for that. But here's some of the top banks. Let's just say you have a Wells Fargo account. You'll click through here, click continue, and then you will actually log in directly. Now this does have a secure connection, so you can be comfortable with that, and this gives QuickBooks read-only access to pull your transactions directly into the system. It does not give QuickBooks any ability to push any information to your bank. Okay, so it's just recording transactions. It's basically like giving QuickBooks access to a bank statement, that type of thing. So for the purposes of this video, we are going to pretend like we've uploaded and we've connected the banks. But what we're going to do instead, and this is also an opportunity for me to show you how to do this, if for some reason your bank does not connect, or maybe you're having connectivity issues, or maybe you have a pretty obscure bank where it does not have a connection to QuickBooks Online. Now, I haven't really run into that with any of my clients, but if for some reason you need to upload transactions, and I'm going to upload them so that you will see kind of the manual version if you ever need to do that. And I'm going to give you one example, and then I'm going to fast forward and do the rest of them really quick. So remember, you can always bring in your transactions automatically. Highly recommended. It's recommended by QuickBooks. It's recommended by me. This is the best way to pull your information into QuickBooks. Now, the backup is doing it manually. So we're going to go ahead and select one of the accounts that I have here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull in some data that I've prepared for this video, and we're going to click continue. And then what you're going to do is you're going to decide so these transactions that you're uploading, which account do they need to be associated with? And I'm going to go ahead and associate them with the checking account that I have. And I went ahead and set up this account. And then this is where you tell it some information so that it knows how to read the data. And I've got the file over here opened up so I can answer questions about it. And I'm going to show you guys this file real quick because this will show you the input data, and then you can answer the questions better. Okay, so it's going to say, first of all, does it have a row header? And it's yes. The answer is yes. And then it's going to ask how many columns show the amount. So sometimes you'll have a positive and a negative, or a debit and a credit. And in this situation, we have the positive and the negative all in one column instead of debits and credits. So we're going to select yes, it has a first row header, and then yes, it's in one column. And then it's going to ask the date file format or the date format. So we have month, date, year separated here. And then we're going to tell it what fields does it need to pull in. So we're going to go back and look at our file real quick. So we have the date column is going to be assigned to date, and then we have the description. So this is what QuickBooks has in its fields, and this is what we want to pull in from our file because I had 5 columns in this file, and so we need to associate it to the right thing. So for example, I actually don't want it to pull description. I'd rather it pull vendor here. So I'm going to change this to vendor as the description, because if you look at what's actually labeled as description, it's just saying deposit or withdrawal. I actually don't want that information. I want it to pull this, which gives me the vendor information, because that's going to be the information that will tell me what this transaction was related to. Okay, and then we're also going to pull in the amount. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and click continue. And this is a place that you can review your information. So if something looks like it's not pulling in correctly, you can make sure that you pull that out. Maybe you need to enter in something manually, but everything looks great here. I'm going to select all these transactions to import, and then you'll click yes. Great. So this is what it's going to look like now that you have imported those transactions. This is also what it will look like if you have pulled and connected your bank directly. Now, one thing you'll see here is that my bank is not connected because it's showing my bank has a zero balance. And this means that it's not reading a live balance of what my bank is saying. So this tells me that it's not connected. And if I wanted to go ahead and connect it, you always can. But right now, it's not a live connection between the bank and QuickBooks since I uploaded these transactions. Okay, so give me a couple seconds. I'm going to go ahead and connect the other two accounts that you'll see here, and then we'll get into our 1 month of bookkeeping. Okay, so here we are in the bank feed section. So you get to this section by going to banking, and then you should be right here. Once you have these connected or you have some transactions uploaded, it will show it will show a different card for each bank or each account that you've connected. And remember, you want to connect any bank account, and you also want to connect any credit card so that you have a separate card here, and all the transactions should be included. We don't want to leave anything out, okay? So let's go ahead. Now, one thing that it's pushing me to do right now is it's pushing me to confirm a paired credit card statement. So QuickBooks has identified that there is a payment to a credit card. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm actually just going to close this out. It's like, yes, I'm happy that you did that, but right now we're not looking at that. We're just going to go through one by one and identify these transactions. So you can change the date range. So if you want to go oldest to newest, or if you want to go newest to oldest, it's up to you. And what we're going to do is we're just going to walk through. Like, now is a process where maybe your bookkeeper is sitting down, or maybe you are sitting down to do your books for the first time, and you're trying to figure out, what steps do I need to complete in order to, quote unquote, have my bookkeeping done. And this is what I'm going to show you. So the first thing is you need to make sure that all of the transactions from the month have been properly included in your account. So we're going to look at the month of August. So what I'm looking at here is that I've got the full month of August transactions. So I have my first transaction happened on the 2nd in the checking account, and then it's going all the way to the 31st. I also have all the August transactions from my credit cards here, and then also on my American Express. Okay, so what I am going to do from this point is we're going to categorize each one of these items individually, and we're going to tell QuickBooks where to put it, because we need to, just because it's here doesn't mean it's all the way into our accounting system yet. This is kind of just a holding tank until we can categorize it and put it into the right category, and then you add it. You have to take an action over here in order to get it officially into your books. Okay, and I'll show you here. So this is because I doctored up these files before I had them uploaded. I just made this generic and called it a payroll provider. Okay, so we're going to just go ahead and add quote unquote payroll provider as a vendor, and we're going to go ahead and categorize this. So we are going to add this vendor. This is a quick add, so we can quickly add a vendor. I always recommend adding a vendor name. And then we're going to click save, and then we're going to go ahead and find a payroll account. So we're going to put this, I'm just going to make this really generic right now and just call it payroll expenses. Most payroll providers have a way that you can link up and get like a journal entry or something directly into QuickBooks Online. So I would highly recommend that. So that it properly separates out payroll taxes from wages. But since we're not doing that for the purposes of this video, we're just going to go ahead and categorize it to payroll, and everything looks good, and we're going to go ahead and click add. Okay, so here we are with an American Express payment. So I can tell it's American Express from the description, and then also from the detail here. So it says ACH payment to Amex, it's an e-payment. So we're going to go ahead and create that vendor. We're going to save that. And then this is where we actually we can go record as a credit card payment. We can also record as a transfer, but let's go ahead and do record as a credit card payment. And then we're going to go ahead and select the credit card that we want it to pay, which is the American Express, and we're going to click add. All right, and now here's another transaction that is this is merchant services. So these are the fees that are being charged for this consulting company whenever they're receiving client payments. So what we can expect coming into the bank account is client payments coming in because this consulting company has their clients on retainer. And all this is just made up, you guys. I'm just using some real data that I've doctored into a couple different things just to give you a really great example of a real life scenario. But this client receives money from a separate invoicing system, and when it comes in, they also get charged some merchant service fees. So we're just going to call this payment system as a quote-unquote vendor name, and then we are going to call this merchant service fees. Okay, so that's merchant account fees. Typically, I like to keep those in cost of goods sold, as some of you may know, but we're going to leave that there. Now, here's something that it's the same thing. This time money is received, so it's coming in, and this is coming from our payment system. So I just created that vendor, so we're going to find it again. And this time, this is coming from sales of services. I'm going to see if they have any other. I could create a new account at this point, but right now we're just going to put it towards sales. And I have a whole separate video on chart of accounts customization. So if you want to look at that, you can. But this is sales. We're going to go put that to sales. But you know what? This happens a lot in this account. So what I'm going to do is save myself a little bit of time and go ahead and create a rule. So I'm going to say every time, so I'm going to label this incoming consulting payments. And then anytime money is coming into the checking account, I am going to say if the description contains this service client payments and it's a deposit, I'm going to categorize it to sales and put the payee as payment systems. So it read all of this based on the rule, like what I had already entered in on that transaction. And let's go ahead and keep the existing bank memo. And we're not going to auto add it right now because I want you guys to see the rules and whether or not it's working. But if you want to auto add, you can. And then this is save. Okay, so it's already identified that rule that I just created. It's identified a couple of these payments for me. And then so all I have to do is review them at that point. And if I think they look good, I can just click add really quick. All right. So this person also, or this consulting company also sells some products, and those come in through Stripe, which is the payment processor. So we're going to go ahead and click Stripe, or create the vendor name of Stripe. And we're going to also just put this to sales for now. Now, if it's a product sales versus a service, actually, I can't even do that. Oh, here we go. Sales of product income. We're going to put it into a separate line item. I was like, I just can't, I can't have consulting and sales in the same line item. So we need to have those in separate items. And knowing that this is something that happens regularly, we're going to also go ahead and create a rule again. And we're going to have Stripe payments. You can name these whatever you want. And then I like all of these rules here, or everything looks great. We're going to click save. And look how many of our transactions have now been categorized as a rule. You guys, this is what makes QuickBooks Online so efficient. And this, when you have recurring transactions over and over and over again in your business, these rules can save you boatloads of time, okay? So we're going to go ahead and just add some of these that we see were just created by our rules. Okay, now we have an expense here by a vendor called Websites R Us. Websites R Us. I'm going to go ahead and create the vendor. Now, if this was a vendor that was a 1099, I would stop here because this would be somebody that I need to track as a 1099 because it's somebody who's done services for me. I would stop right here and fill in as much of this information as I can. So make sure my spelling is right. And then I would go down here to track payments for 1099s. If you have the business ID, you can go ahead and put it in there, but this will help keep track of things that you need to identify for 1099s at the end of the year. So if you have paid a vendor, take the extra second to just click the details and click that checkbox. Even if you do nothing else, you can gather all the information later. I highly recommend getting a W-9 at the very beginning of working with somebody, but if you don't, you at least have this tracked so you can keep an eye on vendor payments, okay? And then we're going to click add to that. If this is great, if I accidentally did something and I didn't put it into the right category, I can go here and I can click undo, and then I can go back here and then make sure that I put this in the right category. So let's see if they have a website. So they don't have a website account for us. Maybe do they have a marketing? We're going to go ahead and put this in advertising and marketing. I'm breaking some of my rules here, but this is all just to make sure that this is done kind of quickly. I would normally have a separate line item for website charges. I don't like putting things in the top account if there are sub accounts underneath it, but that's personal preference. I would probably have a separate website account, actually. Okay, and so here is a payroll tax. Okay, so this is coming from that payroll provider, and then this is a payroll. This is actually payroll taxes. And then here we go with some more of these rules. So we just go one by one and we say, what is this? What is this? What is this? What is this? And we put it in the right category. So it's very, very straightforward. So here we're going to add these things that are already have rules applied. We're reviewing them. And then here's an interesting one. So this is a payroll provider charge, but it's for a flat fee. And I actually know that this is a contractor payment. Now, if I had my payroll provider linked, then I would have that contractor payment pulled over and it would be very clear. But because I don't have that, I'm going to go ahead and, knowing what this charge is, I'm going to put contract labor for the payroll provider, but what I might even do is actually put a contractor name in here. So let's just call it Jessica Jones. And we will also, knowing that she's a contractor, we're going to go ahead and track that for 1099s, and we're going to click add, okay? Now, we are going to just add everything that is abiding by the rules. And then here's the payroll provider. So QuickBooks will do this when it recognizes that you put something with the same description. It will be smart enough to do the same thing that you did last time. But this is actually my payroll run. I don't want to do that. So what I have to do instead is change it back to payroll provider. And you can set up rules to, identify this kind of stuff. But again, if you're connecting your payroll provider, that's the best way to go with QuickBooks Online. And then we will make this payroll. Okay. See, look, it's even going to prompt you. It says, hey, do you want to make sure that this is all the same? And I'm going to skip that for now, but it's nice that it kind of reminds you. All right, and here's a Stripe transfer. We're going to go ahead and click add, and then here is a credit card payment. So we're going to double check this. It's identifying as a credit card payment. It's seeing, okay, that this is paying the Bank of America card. That looks good. That looks good. All right, there you go. And then we're going to keep on adding things and reviewing things that are identified with the rules. That all looks good. Looks good. Looks good. All right, here's a legal payment. This is a company called Legal Shield. And we're going to save that. And then we're going to see if this has like legal and professional services, which it does. We're going to go ahead and click add. Now on any of these transactions, you can always attach a receipt. You can attach it right here, and you can go and search for your receipts. Now you can do it this way. There's also some software that can connect directly with QuickBooks, and you can push receipts directly into the system. So that's like Dext is a software and HubDoc is a software. So that is an option, but if it's something that you like especially like meals, I like to make sure that a receipt is attached, and then or that you can find a receipt for every transaction. Because remember, if you get audited by the IRS, you need to have support for every single thing that you spend money on or you receive money on. So you need to have invoices or you need to have receipts. Okay. So that's just kind of a quick reminder, but that's how you can, at any point in time, if you need to attach something, you can attach it there. We're going to go ahead and continue on here. Here's another payroll. This is a payroll expense. And then payroll provider, this is actually money that came in. So that's a little confusing. Maybe it was a refund. I would want to make sure I know exactly what this is for. Maybe it was something like, maybe you referred business for your payroll provider and your payroll provider actually gave you a commission or something. Let's say that that's what this is. If that's what it is, I would call this, maybe we call this other income for the purposes of, let's call it other income. All right. So kind of weird. Usually we're paying payroll providers. So seeing it coming in as an incoming, you want to think about, well, why would I be paid by this person? And usually it might be a refund, but in this situation, since it was a flat fee, it reminded me, oh yeah, we sent the name of somebody, a business contact to our payroll provider, and that person started using the services. So we got a commission. Okay. That's called an affiliate commission. And, that's always great when that money comes in. All right, here's some more product sales. We're going to add that. And then what is this? Okay, this is something called Bank NYC. This was actually interest expense on a loan. Okay, so, and I'm using this as an example of something that might come in, and we're going to add Bank NYC as a vendor, and this would absolutely be something that we could create a rule for, knowing that it's something that might happen again. We're going to add that, and then we've got more rules to apply. And this, you guys, this is where I just find QuickBooks to be so much more efficient. And I've used other accounting systems before, but when you can identify rules in your business, it can create so much efficiency overall. Since most of these are rules, I think you guys get the point at this point. I'm going to go ahead and classify the rest.